Hi, I'm Wanhee, and since I got into fitness, I've been able to make a pretty good change to my body and my life. But the more I think about it, the more suspicious I get about the fitness industry. There's something quite dark and dangerous going on. If you're not careful, it can trap you and ruin your life. It's time to debunk what I call the myth of fitness. This video, we're gonna debunk the idea of fitness altogether. And we need to start with the word itself. Fitness. What does it even mean? We say he's fit to work, he's fit to play, he's fit to... It means you are able to carry out what you're supposed to carry out. So when we talk of fitness in the sense of life as a whole, it means you are fit enough to live life. That is what fitness should be. So the first problem is that fitness has become too much about vain looks. And I actually urge all of you watching this to take this broader aspect of fitness so that you can start not just obsessing like how big is my bicep, but actually thinking how fit am I? How healthy am I? Next, why does this happen? Since when has fitness just become about gym and protein shakes? It was none other than Mr. Karl Marx who talked about the logic of capitalism. When we used to live back in the day before the rise of capitalism, we used to think about how useful something was in life. What mattered for a table was that it was used to put food on it. And what was good about exercise was that it made us feel healthy. But what happens with capitalism is that we become so obsessed with generating profit. So instead of valuing things for the sake of what they can do for us, we value things for how much they can be sold for, how much profit can be generated. So what does that mean? The table is not valuable because it allows us to put dinner on it. The table is valuable insofar as it can be sold for X amount of dollars. And the same thing happens in fitness, where the whole industry is based on how can we make the most amount of money with this fitness idea. So what do? Gotta build a gym, have all these machines, so all the machine companies can make money by selling gym machines. You won't actually look good unless you buy these supplements, these extra BCAAs, these protein shakes, oh, and why not this creatine? And a whole industry develops on the supplement side because, again, it's about what they can sell to generate profit. So profit becomes the central force that drives fitness rather than what? The use value of fitness, which is to build a healthy body, to build a body where we feel strong, where we feel fit to do things that life requires us to do, whatever that is. Maybe that's just you going about your life, lifting your kids up and down. Maybe it's you recreationally playing football and basketball and jiu-jitsu. Whatever it is, that ought to be the main benefit and the value of fitness. Next, have you actually thought about why the fitness industry is called fitness industry? Why is it called an industry? What is an industry? Back in the day, fitness was not an industry. It was just like soldiers preparing for war. It was just guys like wrestling so that they could go to the Greek Olympic Games. Fitness was done for physical excellence, for physical health. It wasn't done in a way to mass produce and sell. If that's what you want, then fitness becomes an industry where everybody wants to strive to look like this gym bro. Everybody has to have this protein. Everybody has to do this bench press, and everything becomes standardized. Every physique kind of starts to look the same. You unify the standards that people chase with bodybuilding competitions and these aesthetic bodies. And we are creating this kind of mass production, and it's kind of dystopian, but this is also what you see nowadays, where pretty much all across the developed world you see guys that are hitting the gym. They're all kind of doing the same exercises, all trying to kind of look the same, and it is a little bit depressing. And actually another dude called Adorno talked about this. He's another philosopher who said, within a capitalist system, everything starts to become industrialized. There's factory production on a mass scale. Industrialization happens when you want to mass produce things so that they can be sold over and over again to what? Generate profit. So what you have with the music industry, you get these record labels churning out all the same songs that are kind of the same, pretending to be different. Why? Because they can be sold, reprinted, and sold and sold and sold in their masses. And the fitness industry, the reason it's called industry is because it's become just that. Next, now what happens along with industrialization is the creation of new and fake desires. Let's say you wanted to get a big chest, and I made a bench press. I've satisfied that desire. You're happy. You no longer buy anything because you got the thing you want. But wait, don't you want big arms too? Don't you want the cable row machine? Don't you want the lat pull down machine? Oh, but the lat pull down machine, if you really want that wider lat, you need to use this X grip machine rather than the normal lat pull. And what this logic of capitalism and industrialization does is that it's constantly generating new things for you to want. Genuinely actually think how this happens in every aspect of your life. You could actually be happy with a pretty minimalist setup of like enjoying the food you want, spending time with your friends, going on a holiday here and there. But wait, don't you want a Ferrari? Don't you want that new necklace from this brand? Don't you want that new t-shirt? You're constantly bombarded with new things that you should want. You don't even know you wanted it until some advertising go into your mind, and we create things so that you suddenly want this new thing. It actually happens this way because that's how you make more sales. That's how you make more profit, by telling people you should want this. And this is how you get it. Next. Now, what happens in the gym is that we are in some ways channeling the natural male aggression and testosterone into a socially acceptable way. Nowadays, what's happened is that we're confining it to certain walls. In this space, you get to be all gym bro, grunting, masculine aggression so that it's contained, it never explodes. You just obsess about looking pretty. Don't question the society that you live in. Don't question the way in which things are run. Don't channel your masculine aggression to overthrow the current system. Just stay subservient and docile, following the routines that we've set for you, using all your strength on those machines. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it and what you think about this. Let's get on to the next point. Instead of us being free beings, free movement, exploring different things, it's just like, okay, confine yourself to these bodily movements, move in this way, in just the way that we say. Therefore, you will have this kind of body. And everyone's kind of just like following this. And of course, it sounds weird for me to say this because it's like, dude, nobody told you to go to the gym. Like, all these gym bros are doing this out of their free will. What are you talking about? Is this even a video topic? You might be thinking this, but a lot of the work of Foucault and a lot of the modern philosophers is precisely this, that even though we don't have this governing, like, dictatorial structure telling you, like, go to the factory and do the work, what's happening now is that we have these designated spaces where you kind of regulate yourself and move in a certain way that is acceptable. I used to grow up playing in the streets, like making goalposts out of bins and playing hide and seek in the streets of Seoul. You never see that now because it's all about cars, because cars need to drive, the roads need to be clean. So playgrounds, children's playgrounds, need to be segregated to a designated city space where they get to play and then they get to go home. And that's where you study, that's where you play, and then you just go and chill at your own house. Same thing for you. Go to your work, go to your gym, go back to your house. This idea of freely moving, exploring space, and just building your body in a creative, playful way has escaped us, and now even our body movements are confined to the walls of the gym. And for the free thinkers amongst you, I urge you to actually think of ways that you can challenge that. You can challenge it just by you doing it differently. Like, you could train outside, you could train with your body weight, you could train using some of the stuff you see in the streets. Before you say, oh, you know, what the hell are you talking about? This is in essence the philosophy of skateboarding, at least when it started. Instead of surfing when there were no waves, the skateboarders would use the urban architecture to play and interpret the cityscape, the environment, in a creative way. And I think that's such a cool thing, which we can also do with fitness. Next, self-regulation and self-control that you exert upon yourself. Again, this idea, there's no one that's telling you, make sure you get 200 grams of protein, make sure you work out 5 times a week. There's no one that's forcing you to do it. But do you realize how this soft kind of culture of fitness has permeated every aspect of the fitness world, where as long as you're in the fitness world, you're kind of expected to do these exercises, have this much protein, live this kind of life, train at least 3-4 times a week. All of these things where you are free, but you regulate yourself. Now we don't need a dictator or a controlling police to regulate you, but you're constantly regulating your own body fat, constantly checking yourself, am I eating right, doing all the right things? You think you're in control, but in many ways, a lot of your actions and desires have been indoctrinated and controlled by what we have right now, which is the fitness industry. So to conclude, what can you do? What is the way out of it is awareness. I didn't necessarily give solutions, but I want to tell you that by just thinking about it in these kind of ways, by bringing your awareness to some of these forces, you can make new decisions that challenge the status quo. You can make decisions that are a little bit different. Maybe train in a public space. Maybe train with different equipment than normal. Experiment with new movement patterns. There are lots of things that you can do as a subversive interpretation of the current status quo. I hope you enjoyed at least parts of this video. See you in the next one.